In 1914, the world entered one of the deadliest wars in human history. This war was called World War I. At that time, many people believed the war would end quickly. Some even said soldiers would return home by Christmas. But they were wrong. World War I lasted for more than 4 years. It started on July 28, 1914, and ended on November 11, 1918. More than 30 countries became involved. Around 70 million soldiers were mobilized. Nearly 10 million soldiers were killed, around 20 million soldiers were wounded, and millions of civilians also died because of hunger, disease, bombing, and destruction. World War I was not just a war between countries, it was a war that destroyed empires and changed borders. It introduced modern weapons and created the conditions for World War II. But the biggest question is, how did one assassination turn into a world war? To understand that, we must go back to Europe before 1914. Before World War I, Europe was powerful but unstable. Britain had the world's strongest navy and a huge empire. France was a major power, but it still remembered its defeat by Germany in 1871. Germany was a new but fast-growing industrial power. Russia had a massive army, but its economy and government were weak. Millions of Russian soldiers were killed, wounded, or captured. Austria-Hungary was a large empire, but many ethnic groups inside it wanted freedom. The Ottoman Empire was also becoming weak and losing influence, so Europe looked strong from outside, but inside, it was full of tension. Every country was afraid that another country might become stronger. There were 4 main causes of World War I. They were militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. Let's understand them simply. Part 2. The 4 main causes of World War I. 1. Militarism. Militarism means building a strong military and preparing for war. Before 1914, European countries were spending huge amounts of money on weapons, armies, and navies. Germany was building a powerful army and navy. Britain was building more battleships to protect its empire. France and Russia were also increasing their military strength. This created an arms race. Every country was afraid that another country might become stronger. By 1914, Europe had become one of the most heavily armed regions. 2. Alliances. An alliance means an agreement between countries to support each other during war. Before World War I, Europe was divided into 2 major groups. One was the Triple Entente, and the other was the Triple Alliance. These alliances were made for protection, but they also created danger. If one country went to war, its allies could join. 3. Imperialism. Imperialism means powerful countries controlling weaker regions for land, resources, and money. European countries were competing for colonies. Colonies gave them raw materials, markets, and prestige. Britain and France already had huge empires. Germany wanted more colonies and more global power. This competition created jealousy and fear between nations. 4. Nationalism. Nationalism means strong pride in your nation or ethnic group. In the Balkan region, many Slavic people wanted independence from Austria-Hungary. This tension became extremely dangerous. And then came the spark. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand visited Sarajevo. A young nationalist named Gavrilo Princip shot and killed the Archduke and his wife Sophie. This assassination shocked Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia. On July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Russia supported Serbia. Germany supported Austria-Hungary. France supported Russia. Britain joined after Germany invaded Belgium. One bullet triggered all the tension that had been building for years. Within weeks, Europe was at war. 1 month, a world war begins. Part 4. Germany's plan. Germany created the Schlieffen Plan, the idea, defeat France quickly, then fight Russia. But in September 1914, they were stopped at the Battle of the Marne. The war became slow, bloody, and painful. The Western Front became the most famous battlefield of World War I. Trenches were muddy, wet, cold, and full of rats and lice. The war became slow, bloody, and painful. Between enemy trenches was no man's land. Soldiers had to run across it while machine guns and artillery waited. Part 6. New weapons. World War I was an industrial war. Machine guns, artillery, and poison gas changed the battlefield forever. Poison gas created panic. Soldiers began using gas masks, but gas attacks remained one of the most feared parts of the war. Part 7. Major battles. Verdun and the Somme were symbols of the terrible cost of trench warfare. Millions were killed or wounded. By 1917, Russia was exhausted. Food shortages, military defeat, and anger against the government led to the Russian Revolution. The Russian monarchy collapsed. In 1918, Russia left the war by signing the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany. Part 9. A Global War. Soldiers came from India, Africa, and Australia. It was a global human tragedy, not just Europe's war. German U-boats attacked ships in the Atlantic. Fresh American soldiers, money, weapons, and supplies helped the Allies. This changed the balance of the war. Finally, on November 11, 1918, at 11 a.m., the fighting stopped. The armistice was signed. World War I was over. The Treaty of Versailles blamed Germany and redrew the map. The war left behind unimaginable suffering and a changed world. World War I teaches us that when nations choose war, ordinary people pay the highest price. This was World War I.